Wait, so you Second City, IO, you took all those classes. Did you get on either of the stages right away, or
No, I did improv every day for 10 years before Second City
What?
even recognized me.
Wow.
Yeah, I did.
Why is that, do you think?
It's just tough.
Yeah.
It's just tough.
Long line.
Yeah, and the work they were doing, I mean, it was amazing. I would go sit when I started classes at Second City. I would go and sit and watch Stephanie Weir and Tammy Sager, and I mean, amazing. I would sit at Mainstage shows and just be like, kablooey.
Right.
They were the best in the whole world, and
So how much are you doing improv?
every single day.
Every single day, night?
Yeah, for like 10 years.
What are you doing for an income?
Oh my gosh, I was working at a church
What?
during the day.
What church?
Doing
Why?
children's programming.
Oh, that's great.
At a-
like theater programming?
Yeah, like because they would do like drama for their like kids programs
Yeah.
and stuff. So yeah, I was like doing that during the day to support my improv habit at night.
That's amazing.
And yeah, and then I finally, it was like, and even when Greg and I started dating, and then when Greg and I got married, Greg's like, you're so unhappy, you have to leave that job. It's not even a thing you
Oh, it wasn't good?
Well, no, I mean, because I didn't, like, it was a thing, like, I always said I was like bilingual.
Yeah.
I speak English and Christian.
Oh.
You know, like,
Okay.
and it's just a language I knew how to speak.
Right.
But I didn't identify. It was like, this is not who I am.
Right.
And this is a part of how I grew up that I need to move on from.
Sure.
And yet I was like, I need the job. And so I was very conflicted about it, and I didn't want to be there. It was sort of just when you stay too long,
Yeah.
it just kind of eats you up. So, Greg was like, you know, once Greg and I were living together, he's like, we can do it. Just, you have to quit. You have to leave. You're
Right.
so unhappy, blah, blah, blah. And I had started touring.
With Second City?
With Second City.
Oh, before you got on the main stage?
Yeah. I only toured for like 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
And I had started touring, but you can't live off of the touring
Right.
money. You have to have another job. And Greg's like, just do it anyway. Just leave, you know. And he took a job that he didn't want so that I could leave.
The law firm?
At that like ad place.
I thought it was a law firm. Where all those guys worked?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was before this.
Oh,
that was
okay.
before this. That's when Cook County was forming. Anyway, super long story short, and this stuff doesn't always happen, but man, it certainly happened for me this one day. Was I quit and I left, and I was driving out of this place. I'm like,
The church job.
yeah, I quit, and I'm driving out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just did it. Oh my gosh, after so long, I've wanted to do this for so long, and I finally did it. And oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And what am I going to do for money? And oh my gosh, and blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to go back to serving tables. And I hate serving tables so much. And blah, 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 you know. And as I'm driving home from leaving my job, my phone rings and it said Second City. And I was like, that's weird. Why am I? And it was Allison Riley, who's the Mainstage producer. And she was like, hey, Holly, do you have a second to talk? And I'm like, yeah. You know, like butthole, just doing that like underwater sea creature thing. And she's like, are you driving? And I'm like, clearly driving. It's like, you know, you can hear them driving. And I'm like, no. And she's like, I can hear that you're driving. And I'm like, okay, hold on, I'll pull over. And she's like, okay. And I don't pull over. I'm still driving. And she's like, okay, you over? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, okay. I don't know why she's like, you can't. Yeah. Maybe I'd be like, like drive into oncoming traffic. But she was like, we, you know, would like to offer you a spot, you know,
wow,
on the main stage. Like the minute
that's insane.
Isn't that crazy?
How beautiful is that?
So beautiful.
Wait, so you had worked that job like 8-9 years or something?
Yeah.
Wow.
And like over 10 years. And
wait, how long were you in Chicago for?
From 99 till 3 years ago. It's like 15 years.
Oh, wow. Jeez, that's a long time to work that job.
So it was like, so it was like a dozen years. I did improv every day for 12 years before I got, for like 10 or 11 years before I got understudied the touring company and then started touring and then got Mainstage.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. And Jet and I were doing sketch shows, putting up like regular long run shows. And I was playing with The Reckoning, and I was playing with every little like duo and trio and quadro and everything I could put together. And like
that's crazy.
Every single show you could do every night, doing bar prov, improv, every kind of, you know.
Well, you got your 10,000 hours in, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So did you end up crashing the car then after you talked to her?
Greg was out of town with Cook County. I got home, and I lived in the attic of this house, and there was one window in the front because it was no walls. It was all ceiling.
Right, yeah.
And so there was one window in the front where it looked down towards like downtown Chicago, and it was this really beautiful kind of epic view. And it was sunset, and I went and stood in the front window of my house, and I opened up a bottle of champagne.
Of course.
And I took the cork and I got a Sharpie and I wrote, I got Mainstage today.
Oh, whoa.
1/5/11 or whatever. And I still have that cork. Like I keep it with me all the time. And then I stood in the front window and I just silently wept and I toasted the city of Chicago and I was all by myself.
Of course you were.
Like, yeah.
It all comes back to you.
And Greg called and I told him over the phone and you're not supposed to tell anybody until it's announced and all this stuff. And then Second City, like that job of 8 shows a week, 6 days a week and improv sets every night and being able to like write your own material. And,
right.
Oh my God. It was the best.
Yeah. I feel like you're tearing up thinking about it.
I'm crying. I am. I'm crying.
That's fabulous though.
Best.